How's it going, guys? We're back today because we have more of our exclusive gameplay and we wanted to go on a little commentary over this. And I've got 2-6 with me because there's some cool stuff in this one that we haven't shown before, right, 2-6?
Yeah, definitely. I think this fight that we're actually seeing at the moment is actually the first time we've properly got our hands on the Mystic Spearhand, and you were trying out basically everything because it posed the weird challenge of it being in the air, but the Spearhand has like the answers to that, doesn't it?
Yeah, so we were definitely, like you say, I was learning the character and the moveset at this point, but I feel like this boss, this ghost boss, was a pretty good one to learn it for because that teleport move is pretty vital to your moveset, as is the shield that we've talked about before. But we don't deal a lot of damage to this guy, so this was our first fight from the preview, and it was a real, like, test of endurance because we're just not dealing that much damage, so it was all about learning the timings, when to go in and out, and just getting to grips with the character. And I have to say, again, we've said this before, but the Spearhand is just so much fun to actually play and keeping that shield up. But also, this boss has some really cool moves. It's not the Dullahan. I've gone back and double-checked this. So this is just like a ghost boss that was in a cemetery on the way to a quest. It does like lightning, it does ice spells, and it drops these like orbs and big AoEs and all that kind of stuff. And when we actually defeat it, I did see a few people asking a question. When you defeat a monster, you do get the original orchestra sound that we'll see when it goes down, which is like a throwback to the first game. And you can see here it does this giant tornado.
Massive tornado.
We were laughing. Everyone was laughing in the demo room for this because look.
Oh, Marley!
Our pawn there just yeeted off into the stratosphere and back down, which is just really cool to see. And you can see here, obviously the pawn died in that tornado, so it's telling us about the revival system. But that was a little highlight from our first like 5 minutes of playing the game, just seeing a pawn get yeeted with that tornado. And I guess that's the physics system, right? Because there is a bigger emphasis on the physics in this second version of Dragon Dogma.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen like a load of different things in the environment that you can move around, and we've got examples later on in the video kind of really going over that. But one of the things that you kind of really need to convey to people is that teleport, when you're first getting used to it, isn't necessarily the most easy thing to use because it is a lot of button combinations together. But here we've got the old trebuchet.
I love this. This was 2-6's discovery, putting a rock on these trebuchets. Bear in mind, we were fighting the Drake at the same time, so it was a little tricky until eventually the Drake stopped attacking us. But you can see we had to throw several rocks at this wall, which you can see here, and then eventually the wall broke, and everyone in the room was like, I didn't know this was a thing. What's that? Go in there. Go find out what's in there. Because everyone just didn't know what was behind this wall. And I actually have something to say here too. So we were fighting this Drake, right? We had to rest at camp to respawn the rocks to put in the trebuchet. And the Drake didn't seem to recover too much health. And it still stayed in the area. So I don't think monsters fully reset even if you rest at camp. Which is an interesting note.
Yeah,
at least
I love
from the preview.
I love the persistence of the game. It just feels like a lot of the things do persist through like resting essentially, or resting at the camp at least, which is pretty cool because the Ogre was still there on the floor, clapped and dead. Look at those little leech boys.
Gross leeches. We got Wakestone Shard from the chest, which is really cool because they're going to be really good for self-resing and reviving NPCs that we know about from the recent showcase. Your favorite leech boys there, 2-6, were getting me before I could get this extra item. So this is a Seeker's Token, which is a collectible, which you get rewards for if you find, like, I don't know at the different intervals how many you need, but it says there's 240 of these scattered across the land in out-of-the-way and unexpected places. And obviously we had to break a wall down to even get in here to get one. And there's 240 of them.
It's Arekkz all over again.
Right. Crazy. I want to get them all, but I don't know if I'll find them all. But this leads us to another one. You can see here the pawn just said they had an inkling that there's a rarity or two in this place. And you can see here the Mali that got yeeted into the stratosphere a minute ago is now coming in handy and levitating above this ledge to knock down the ladder for us, which is just a really cool thing that pawns can do. Like that, you know, you're not playing a mage or a sorcerer or whatever, so you can't fly, but they can do it for you, and then boom, you can get your little chest here, which unfortunately we didn't get to see what was in it.
Oh, this is like one of my favourite parts of the actual gameplay. Not him jumping on the wall, the what are we calling this? An ogre, right? Not a yeti, not a
not a yeti, this is an ogre. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the backdrop.
So what I did there is I did a move to jump on its back, and when you're on its back, you can stand there without grabbing. However, if it does any move that's gonna like damage you, you immediately ragdoll if you aren't holding R2 to grab on. So what that shows is you can stand on the monster's back, but you need to be careful anytime they're about to do an attack. And here we have a really cool thing, because we were running along and I was like, that's definitely not a rock. So I attack it and it just starts rolling away. And 2-6, you were saying, you used to rock at it.
Yeah, I was like, throw a rock. And this kind of really shows some of the physics and shenanigans that you can get up into in the game. But BAM! Knocked out!
It actually did. Like, you can see a little spark piece on his head.
Fully
and my
like
basic attacks
concussed.
are doing nothing. It's the finisher there that actually did something. But the rock did a lot of damage compared to my normal attacks on this guy.
Oh, physics! Roll over.
Rolling down the hill, smashing our pawn and the enemy, allowing us to do a critical hit, which is just really cool. And here we have the Magic Archer, which is this is a fight that I really wanted to showcase because it can show that we tried a lot of the different moves. So there's this move that you can see us do a lot here, where we yeet this big block of ice. And what's interesting about this move is, for one, it's frozen him, which is obviously really useful. But two, you can charge it up, and this does physical damage, whereas a lot of the other Magic Archer skills that we have do magic. And we're fighting a Golem here, and this Golem is all about hitting these magic sigils, these like medals all over him, the glowy points. But he's very resistant to magic, so you want to be doing physical damage. So you want to be... The best choice for us here as a Magic Archer, with the only physical move we had being that spell, was to just spam it. And at a certain point, I had to go back to my OG Magic Archer playstyle. Obviously, we don't have the daggers anymore. But I was like, I got to climb on this guy and do it like I used to, where you just repeatedly stab the medals. But what you'll see here is I was just doing no damage. Like this medal was not getting destroyed, even though I used like my whole stamina bar to get a bunch of hits in on it. So you can see we're just back to spamming this move, which does actually do a lot of damage and chonk him at different points, you know, when it breaks those medals. So you do have a lot of options and variety of how you can play the Magic Archer. I just found that, you know, if you're fighting a monster that's resistant to magic, it's obviously not going to be great. If you're fighting something like the Griffin that's weak to fire and you have a really powerful fire move, then it was going to chonk his health bar. But in general, the Magic Archer did have a few different cool moves. Obviously, you had to use what was appropriate to the monster you're fighting. You see a big chonk its health bar there.
Yeah, that was a huge chunk to the health bar. And that's the thing, like, when it does do the damage and you can get those shots off, it's a good class for, like, damage output. And it'll be interesting to see what skills it gets later on in the game, because you can upgrade the skills for each of, like, the vocations, or some of the skills, at least.
Yeah, so that's our new gameplay. Hope you guys enjoyed.